danawhite walks off Howie Mandel's podcast
All right, so
episode.
we have Dana White walking off Howie Mandel's podcast within
I
the
didn't even know Howie Mandel had a podcast.
first minute or two. This clip has been going insanely viral, and people aren't really sure what to make of it. You know, of course, the clip has been going
If he had walked off, then how is it like 1 hour?
insanely viral, and people aren't
And
really
they just waffling.
sure what to make of it. You know, of course, some people think it's all scripted. Some people think it's real, and him and Howie got into an argument. And it's just hard to tell what happened here, especially because
Scripted? I don't think so. I think it makes danawhite looks bad.
there's no context or anything. You know, even if you go watch the full podcast, it doesn't help at all. They don't address it after he leaves. They don't even mention it. They just kind of sit there for a second, and then there might be a cut or something, and then they continue on like nothing happened.
Okay, that's just a weird behavior like that.
So who knows what's really going on here. And the internet seems to be split on if this is real or just a scripted bit. And if I had to guess, I actually believe this is real. I'll get into it more after I
Yeah, there's no shot is scripted.
play the clip. But Dana White just does not seem like the kind of person that would go along with this. You know, if Howie approached him is like, hey, you want to come on my podcast and you pretend to walk off and we'll make a scene and it'll go viral. I don't think Dana White would do that for
Nah.
Howie. He does not seem like the kind of person to do that. Because also, I don't know what he gets out of it. Like, it's really just him helping Howie. I'm sure this podcast got a good amount of views. And Dana, he doesn't really get much out of it. So I can't imagine he would go along with this. But I could imagine
I
Dana
mean, it's beneficial for both parties.
agreeing
He gets more fame and recognition.
to the podcast, but reluctantly, and then showing up. And
It's
then
mutually beneficial.
once he hears Howie talking, and Howie, it doesn't seem like he knows Dana too well, but he's trying to brown nose him like crazy. Like, he just keeps trying to compliment him in the beginning. It just doesn't sound very genuine. And then also there's a guest next to him, some guy, Ginger Billy, I'm not too familiar with.
Who?
So Dana, he probably showed up and saw what's going on here, and he's like, I do not want to sit through an hour and a half of this. I'm out of here. And you could tell Dana just looks so uncomfortable. Like, this is the last place you'd want to be. And the other guest looks really uncomfortable too. And I just don't think these guys are good enough actors to be able to pull this off.
And sometimes when you wish upon a star, the star shows up. Dana White, you are an amazing guy. I can't thank you enough for being here. You and Ginger seem to be getting along. You are not only an amazing businessman,
Who?
you are an inspiration. You are a philosopher. The way you do
Is contemplating what is going on.
business, the way you conduct your business and your friendships and media is, I'm jealous. But Dana, I can't thank you enough for being here.
And thank you for all the kind words. I appreciate it. I am so fucking tired of doing podcasts. I'm literally done with them. I'm not doing any more podcasts.
That's it? Okay. That's like the most smoothest exit ever. Tired. It's kind of reminds me of Temple working out. It reminds me of Kanye working out Temple podcast. After asking who's there.
We have an illustrious guest from the middle of the other side of the country, South Carolina.
Yes, sir. East Coast.
Yeah, so to me, this seems pretty legit because, again, I don't think Dana would ever agree to do some stunt like this for Howie, like just to help him get publicity or whatever. I don't see Dana doing that. Also, usually when people do a stunt like this, it's more exaggerated. You know, they'll get into a heated argument and storm off or something. This was just, like, really awkward. You know, you could tell everybody there was uncomfortable. You could just see it in Dana's face, the guest's face, especially Howie with that intro. It's like, all right, dude, tone it down a bit. You know, calling him a philosopher. And it sounds like Howie doesn't even know him that well. Like, he knows he's the UFC guy, but you could tell he's just trying to think of any way to compliment him. And it just seems
A philosopher, huh?
kind of fake. You know, that part does. The whole thing I don't think is fake, but you can tell something's going on here. Like this comment said, this person believes something happened before the camera started rolling.
Yeah, it's on PZT, you know.
See it in Dana's face, Billy's face, and the way Howie was wording Dana's build up. Somebody else said, Dana looks so angry before Howie even started speaking. And then another comment said, 3 bald guys in one room was way too much. You know, I think they might
Good
be
one.
onto something. Somebody else said it's either a bit or Dana sensed Howie was being a sarcastic a-hole. which could be the case, but it did seem like Dana was fed up with it right from the beginning. Like, as soon as the camera started rolling, the look on his face was like, shit, what did I get
And
myself
the puckered lips says it
into?
all.
So in my opinion, I don't think he really wanted to be there to begin with. I think he probably took some convincing and he reluctantly agreed. Dana White doesn't really seem like the kind of person that would want to do Howie's podcast to begin with. And he's not the kind of guy that will do something he doesn't really want to do. And also, Howie's podcast, it doesn't get that many views. I mean, now that Dana walked off, that episode might get some views. But, Dana, he definitely wasn't doing that podcast for the numbers. And Dana seems kind of picky about which podcasts he does, which makes sense because he's obviously really busy.
Yes, shouldn't have discussed it before going into the camera.
He does Nelks a lot. He really likes those guys. He's also done Theo Vaughn's and I'm sure some other ones. But he's not the kind of person that's just taking every opportunity to do a podcast. I mean, he's only been on Joe Rogan's once, and that was over 10 years ago. So he doesn't really care to do that because I'm sure he'd get on there easily if he wanted to. But I just don't think he's that motivated to do podcasts. I don't think he cares that much. So it definitely makes sense
The guy's a billionaire.
to me that if he's on a podcast he doesn't like and he's regretting being on, he'll just walk off. He doesn't care. And I also saw this comment, maybe Dana felt like Howie, that intro was being sarcastic or he's being passive aggressive or something. Like this comment said, starting out with Dana White, you're an amazing guy, is wild. So maybe Dana's
Okay, that's just
some sarcasm
racing.
there. I didn't really get that, but there was something up with that intro, it just fell off right from the
And
beginning.
this comment just reaching.
And I saw somebody bringing up how they think it could be a sketch. They said, assuming they just finished filming Dana's episode and they did a little sketch afterwards. Yeah, I'm sure Dana would hang around to do a sketch with Howie Mandel. I mean, I'd just be shocked if that were the case. And somebody else said, no, it was just so awkward for Dana. He is surrounded by a cat with a cowboy hat. Someone saying how good of a person he is in a fake voice. Dude's like, I'm out. And I feel like that's probably more likely, but who knows? After this, like I said, they just continued on like nothing happened. Howie never addressed it. I don't think Dana will. So it is possible we'll never get an answer to this, because also Dana said he's done doing podcasts. I don't know if he's just saying that because he was trying to think of some way to get out of it and he thought that would be the best way to do it, or he really is just sick of doing them. That could be the case. And I know Dana just did a Nelk podcast where him and Bob Menery kind of got into it. And that's what one of the comments is pointing out. They said that Bob Menery took a lot out of Dana. So, yeah, maybe Dana is just sick of doing them. And he showed up and he's trying to convince himself that he would do it. But once that intro started, he's like, yeah, I'm out of here. But let me know what you guys think about it all down in the comments. And then if you want extra content from me, make sure you go check out my Patreon account. There's a ton of good stuff up there.
Patreon,
If you want to hear
nice.
about what happened to the Death Squad, Joe Rogan's group of friends, how they used to call themselves that, but then they stopped. Or if you want to hear about the downfall of Milo Yiannopoulos, or the degeneracy of Ari Shaffir, or a ton of other stuff, over 65 videos.
There's a lot of content
Most of them are
milking
20
up.
minutes, so make sure you
Nice.
go check it out.
And there's a video link there. Yeah, there's like the shortest podcast ever recorded. Maybe you want a record of that one.